birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Clifford. Happy birthday to you. May God bless you. May God bless you. May God bless you.
All right.
May God bless you.
So, Grandpa.
Hello.
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 Good morning.
Good morning to you, too.
Good morning.
Nice to see you.
Nice
Hear your
to-
voice.
Nice to see and hear your voice too. So everywhere we go, people always ask about the secret. People would respect what you have to say about what the secret is to long life.
Live each day, enjoy each day, because you never know when the last day is coming. But enjoy each day as it comes. My name is Clifford Johnson. My full name is Clifford Eugene Johnson, and I was born in Lenipal, Oklahoma, June the 7th, 1918. My father was named Herman Johnson. My mom was Lula Johnson. During that time, everything was so scarce. Very little food, very little clothing, very little entertainment, just very little of practically everything. Money. Although people did love to share with one another. Since I was the only child in the family, I would find myself, trying to invent something or make something. And we had to be, invent things for ourselves. Well, schools were small and segregated. My graduation class, when I graduated, consist of 5 people to graduate. That was our graduate from high school. Writing, I think, was my favorite subject. And of course, I got some nice grades for writing, but some of the other subjects weren't so good. One of my favorite sports was basketball. We didn't have enough boys, actually, to have a football team going at one time. So we had to play basketball, and many times we had to practice with the girls, boys against the girls.
Are you pretty good?
Well, I thought I was. My stepfather thought I was.
What happened with your stepfather in the Tulsa riots?
Oh, my stepfather moved from a little town south of Oklahoma City and to Tulsa to work. See, work was much improved in that area. And so he went there to work, and then the riot broke out. And it burned up all the area where he lived. And so he moved out what few things he had left, all in one suitcase, and moved to northern part of the state near the Kansas line. And so that's where he met my mom. And so they got married, and so that's when I met him. And so he became a major part of my raising up my life. I didn't know any difference. I thought he was my real father. And he just acted, and he took over as if he was my real father. And he would teach me things that I should do, things I should not do, and how to be polite to people that I meet. And and he always told me that he wanted me to go to school. He had reached the 8th grade, and he thought that was a high rating for young men at that particular time. So he wanted me to go beyond the 8th grade, at least, for education. So when I reached the high school, he helped me make up my mind to go a little further. And so, he supported me in all my athletic activities and encouraged me and attended all my games and things like that. And so I got a chance to finish high school. Then he told me that he wanted me to go to college if I could, but we didn't have much money, so I didn't. So he said, well, we'll just go as far as we can. And so we found a lady in Coffeyville that I could rent a room for $1 a day to go to school and the rest overnight for 5 days. So it meant that I go in Monday and then I had to leave Friday evening to come back home. And that was $5 that I owed the lady for rent where I stayed. I had the privilege to go in and make breakfast. I could cook breakfast. Of course, I didn't have money to go out and eat, so I would go and find a place to serve soup and other little things, crackers and stuff to fill in until I could go and do a little cooking to fill in and sleep. So many times during the winter time, we didn't have the $5 to pay the lady for rent from Monday through Friday. And so she'd always laugh and say, well, go ahead and say maybe next week you'll have the money. So next week we had to dig up $5 plus the days that I missed. Sometimes it was 2 days or 3 days that I didn't pay her. Wow. So, so that's how we, I got a chance to go to junior college and I took up the trade of bookkeeping and typing, and of course I played basketball, in high school.
You were Michael Jordan in high school?
I was jumping center at that time. Most all games started at jumping center. Oh. And so I was blessed with a leap that I could out-jump most of the boys. Some of them were even taller than I.
Wow.
I just out-jump them and tap the ball, to one of my players, and they would run and to the goal and shoot.
Wow, so you were Michael Jordan back then, before Michael Jordan was a thought.
Well, I didn't consider it as Michael Jordan.
Wow.
I was just a gift that was granted up to me.
Wow,
yeah,
very nice.
So we traveled from many schools in the northern part of Oklahoma, from Tulsa to Kansas line, up and down schools, in that area, and playing ball, playing basketball. So
did you ever make the game-winning shot?
I don't remember. I don't remember making the winning. I might have, but I don't remember.
Guess what? I'm 104.
What's the best advice given to you growing up?
Obey your parents. Don't rush to a quick decision. And do unto others as you'd have others do unto you.
You told me a story about your a very interesting invention that you created when you were a child. That is my absolute favorite. What was that invention that you're most amazed by?
Well, I had something other children wasn't access to. That is, I had built myself one of those crystal set radios, and I ordered the parts, assemble them together, and I could pick up at night radio transmission line. Other kids didn't have that.
Very awesome. When you think about your first job that you had with your stepfather, what was the lesson that you learned from that first job?
Be responsible, go to work on time.
What memory from your childhood, or even from being a young adult and going to college, made the most impact on you?
Well, it's the most important thing is not to reach conclusion, don't butt in on other people's decisions. In short, mind your business. Lola lived in a little city called Bartlesville, Oklahoma. And one of my basketball schoolmates used to drive over to meet one of his friends. And so he asked me to go over with him one weekend to see his friend. And while there, Lola happened to be skating out in front of the house, and so he introduced me to Lola. After meeting her, and finding her name, getting her name, she turned around and skated away up and down the street as if I was a stranger. So I wasn't there, and so that kind of got off with me. Well, she told me that I wasn't serious, and that she was probably going to go back to visit her sisters and not come back. And so I said, well, if it's that serious, well, maybe we could, get married. We got married in 1942. I think a total of 68 years total. 68 years. She's very, very patient. She'd always encouraged me after we got married and tell me that I can do better than maybe on certain jobs that I were on, and so said I could do better, and so that kind of encouraged me that I could do better, and I did begin to do better. The advice that I could give is be sincere, be trustworthy in your word, try your best to keep the promise. My stepfather used to tell me that all the time.
What lesson did you learn from Granny Lola?
Not to make rush decisions, think them over before the final decision. She taught me patience, more patience.
More patience. Awesome, awesome. And then you were a father of how many?
4. 2 boys, 2 girls.
What is the main lesson that you learned from being a father?
Main lesson is think of the group before thinking of yourself. I went to war in the South Pacific. We went in on the invasion of the Philippine Islands in World War II. I finally ended up as a staff sergeant and placed over supplies. That meant a good, much good salary for me, because you start out with a private, then from private to first class to a corporal, then from a corporal to a sergeant, and I was the top of the sergeant. Over in the Philippines, the roads were real narrow and rough, and so as we were riding on the trucks, we lost so much sleep until
I told one of the drivers, I said, I'm going to get this sleep tonight. I said, I don't care if they come over with the bombs and drop them or not. Sure enough, about 9 or 9:30, the alarm went off. The Japanese bomber in the area. Every time the aircraft on the ground would start shooting up in the air, I laid there and just trying my best to go to sleep. And all of a sudden, there's a huge artillery gun on the hill right in the back of it, which meant that when that goes off, that means the plane was over our area and very dangerous. Everybody should find a foxhole. So when the gun went off, first time, I didn't move. I laid on my bed. Then all of a sudden it went off again with a couple of salvos, boom, boom, right there. Automatically I jumped up, ran out, and then jumped over into my foxhole. I didn't know that somebody had swept some glass, bottles, and cans and threw in there because it was so close to the tent. They didn't want to walk away, and they just slipped, threw it over into this foxhole. And that was my foxhole. So I cut my elbows, my knees, for that. But then when the alarm went off, all clear sound went off. I came back to my tent, and there was a big hole right in my tent above the head of where my cot was. Then I looked at my pillow. There was a hole in the pillow. Then I looked at the floor, and there's a hole in the floor. And so then I got a shovel, and I said, well, I'm going to try to find the bullet. And I dug, and I couldn't find the bullet. Then I said, ooh, if I hadn't moved, why then, that was one of my cherry cares moments. And so when I told Lola about it, when I wrote a letter and told everybody, I was surprised. She said, I was praying for you. I said, you were doing what? I said, I was praying for you. So she'd been praying for me all along at that time.
Guess what? I'm 104.
What were some of the lessons you learned by being a staff sergeant?
Trying to keep going when I know things are going wrong.
What service military did you serve in?
The Army.
Okay. And was that a pleasant experience for you, or was it crazy?
Well, it was both. It was one that taught me to not reach this quick decision. Another one is taught to obey what the leader tell you before you make another decision. And the other was try to do the best you can under your present circumstances and not lose your rank.
Is there anything that made you angry in the Army that you'd like to share?
Yes. One thing that made me angry was when we were getting ready to go overseas, we were transferring from one company, one division to another. We had been trained with rifles. They took the rifles away from us and gave us a police stick. And so that made me angry, not knowing what company I was going to.
As a soldier, what lesson did you learn?
Learn to look out for yourself. I could put a title on that. Many of the soldiers, when they were in, used to like to use their rations to party, drink, smoke, and things like that. I decided that in place of using my ration for drinking or smoking, I'd sell them. So we had a ration for cigarettes. I'd sell my cigarettes to different ones that wanted. If they had a ration for beer, I'd sell my beer to whoever wanted to buy. and put the money in a little treasure. And so it was going so well until weekends when they were having dances and things in the area. A lot of the guys didn't have any money, so they said, I sure would like to go to the dance. I don't have any money. So I said, I'll loan you 5, you pay me back 6. I'll loan you 10, you pay me back 11. And so they said, well, I'll go for that. So I loan them, get my money back, and put that in the treasure. I'd have a little more for others. So it was going quite well for me. And so I said, well, maybe I can send some home or put it in the bank. So when I do get out, at least I can have enough money to go home or do whatever I need to. So it worked out well.
Do you have an idea of how much you ended up going home with?
It was, I wouldn't like to say it, but it was quite well.
Okay. In the military, you dealt with racism and discrimination. How did you deal with it?
Well, I tried to make a proper decision that I thought was right. In that case that I told you about, I had gone to my company commander and asked for a transfer to another company because they had a rating of first sergeant. And I had experience with typing, bookkeeping, record transfers, and things of that nature. And so I thought maybe that would help me to get considered to get one of those jobs. Well, it helped them to get their attention, but they did not consider me sufficient enough to promote me over to that job. So quite naturally, I was upset, but so I continued to do the work like that I was assigned, like do bookkeeping, transfers, and company commander's orders, and truck assignments, and things of that nature. So at the end, why they had a big party. Guys wanted to go out to the party, so I gave them permission to go out if they were, weren't too drunk, or if they were ruly or could control themselves. Country commander said that I should not have given them the permission, and so he refused to give me my permission because I didn't obey his commission. So it put me in a terrible spot.
From childhood to throughout life, who were your best friends?
One of my best friend was my first cousin, who was 9 months older than I. The other one was my basketball player, who I had met, and he was a jumping center, and I was a jumping center for my team. Even though he was taller than I managed to out-jump him 2/3 of the time.
Oh.
So after that basketball season was over, we received a notice to go into the Army or register for the Army. They would not accept him, but they accepted me. So I had to go in. So he stayed and worked in the California shipyards out here. In fact, he moved out here from Oklahoma to Los Angeles, worked in the shipyard. So I went into the military service. So after being discharged, I called him and asked him if I could come out here, think I could get a job working. So he told me, come on out, stay with him until I found a job. So I came out, found his address, stayed with him, found a job, Then I started buying the house.
And who was with you at that time? Did you move out?
Oh, when I moved out here,
Yes.
my wife and my oldest daughter, Barbara. There's only 3 of us.
Wow.
So we stayed with my friend until I got my house built, where we're still staying in now.
Wow. And how long have you been in that house? Or it's been
Since 1946.
Wow.
Guess what? I'm 104.
I had 2 boys, 2 girls. The oldest one was named Barbara. Barbara was born in Coffeyville, Kansas. Clifford was the second. He was born in Los Angeles after the war. Then Pat was next, and then Bucky the last. But Barbara, she was very steady. She was student. She liked to study, and she always would make good grades. I didn't have to ever, chastise her or make her do extra work for studying. She always just took that up for granted and always made grades. And Cliff watched me and just copy after me doing particularly artwork. And so he used to draw on the walls of the house, and then his mother got upset. And so then I decided to buy rolls of paper, and just give him a roll of paper. He could spread out on the floor, on the table, and let him draw on the paper all he wanted to. And that's how he got started with his artwork. Pat was a little different. She liked to do a lot of reading, studying, and talking. She liked to talk. Yeah, like that. Of course, Bucky liked to play football. That was his sport. All types of ball, baseball, basketball, all types. He participated in that. He loved that. And if you didn't keep him busy, he would always get into trouble.
How did you decide the names of all your children?
I left all that up to Lola. Except one. That was Cliff. I wanted a boy, and I got a boy. And so when he was born, I asked Lola, I said, what you gonna name him? She said, I thought about Charlie. I said, oh no. I said, oh no, you can't. And she said, calm down. I said, what do you want to name? I said, he had to be named Cliff. She said, okay, he'll be named. We'll name him Cliff. So, and then after he was born, then Pat was born. I had no choice. Then Bucky was born. So I said, well, I have a Cliff. So I think I worked total, 29 and a half years for the post office. And then I worked part-time, about 5 or 6 years as a tailor, doing custom tailoring work. The most interesting job was clerk at the Postal Credit Union. I was always taught, to work. When you go to work. But a lot of the other employees would go to work, just to kill time and like that. So I would always take care of my customers, smile and let them get going. Some of the others, they just take the time, didn't care how long these customers stayed in line.
What was your best work experience?
Well, jokingly, getting out of the service. I had worked for the post office for 25 years. I was glad to get out of that. I had worked for the Postal Credit Union for 5 years, and I got out of that. So those were the last 2.
Okay. And then you told me a story about at the post office where people would start bringing you things. So can you tell me more about that story?
Oh yeah, I went to work with the post office, and I got the job working as a window clerk. I liked the idea of going to work, you know, with clean clothes, put on my glasses if needed, and you know, it just gave me a little pride thinking but I also found out that there were others there who were just putting in time. They were disgusted about the line being long. When the customers would come and stand in line, they wouldn't be nice to the customers. I told them, well, I'm working. They pay me to work. Say, the customers can get in my line if they want to. So the ladies from Orange County that were sending fruit and stuff overseas and throughout the United States, they began to get into my line because my line kept moving steadily, wasn't fast, but just steadily. And so they began to say, we like to work, come over to your line. I said, well, my line is rather long. I said, you have to wait time. Oh, we don't mind waiting. Do you have family? I said, yes, I have family. We're gonna bring you some fruit. So they began to bring me oranges, apples, bananas, cabbage and stuff like that, you know, that they brought from their gardens, and I'd take it home. My wife was happy, and that was the less. So that worked on. Finally, the Dodgers moved from Brooklyn to California. The messenger that was doing the postal service and would come, and he'd see the line was short. Sometimes it was long, and I would see him and I'd hurry up and get him out, you know, because I knew his time was short, you know, he's working. So he told me one day, he said, I'm glad that you took care of me. He says, I tell you what, he says, I'm gonna bring you a complimentary ticket for the World Series. Well, I said, what? He said, I'm gonna give you a complimentary ticket for 3 days to go to the World Series. I said, thank you. Sure enough, he brought it. I told my son about it, and he went up. Oh, yeah, that was. So I told him, I said, now you can't go. I can't pull you out of school, but I said I'll try to see if you can go on a Saturday. He said, anytime is all right with me. So I let him go to see the game on Saturday, and I went Friday and Sunday.
And did they win the World Series that year?
They won the World Series.
Well, I think it's because you were sitting in the stands.
Yeah.
So tell us, what do you think has changed the most in Los Angeles?
I think acceptance. You know, the people accept you, you know, or as a neighbor. People accept you on your job. People accept you when you meet them, if, you know, or your meeting is pleasurable. I mean, if you don't have an angry face, or if you smile, or so anything that help make people. But I think they're more acceptable now. And the opportunities are great. I mean, at one time it was hard to go to other cities. You know, like you go into Huntington Park, Southgate, Linwood. You were stopped and asked, you know, questions about, are you shopping, or are you lost, or what can we do to help you? Things like that. It's great improvement and lovely, you know. Everybody seems to be doing, you know, accepting you more than, you know, before.
What are your convictions that you live by?
do unto others as you have others do unto you. That's about it, best I can say. One little story is, I was in a supermarket one day. The line was long. The gentleman wanted to buy some groceries. He didn't have enough money. So I told him that I would pay for his groceries and let him go on about his business. Later on, I was in line. I had gotten a fresh card, and evidently they didn't put the right code number on it. I got up to the line, card wouldn't go through. A lady in the line said, let him have the groceries, I'll pay for it. It happened to me one time. I said, what is that? I like bowling, pastime. The highest average I've ever gotten was 262. I like traveling. I like a lot of traveling that I didn't get a chance to do in my younger years, except when I went into military service. Because traveling at that particular time was expensive, plus they were segregated. And for example, you cross one line into another, and then you had to move. If you had a good seat, you had to move to a back of the transportation, whether it's the bus, train, or wherever. Well, it has been, I guess, reasonable for the time. I mean, I came along during the time when segregation was really segregation. I mean, we had to go around the side of the window to eat, or in the back to eat, or then the salaries were low. They didn't mind calling you boy, and even in the military service, they called us boys, even though we were older than the person that called us that. It's been a learning experience, and tells you that go ahead and try to make yourself qualified, even though your opportunities might be very limited. But be qualified in case it happens. Sometimes it might happen sooner than you're expected, but be qualified when it does happen.
So Grandpa, I hear you're from the greatest generation, and me being a millennial, I just wanted to ask you some questions about being Black in America. So the first question I had is, in your experience, what do you think being Black has taught you?
Taught me to love one another as I would like for them to love me. That's the biggest one I can think of. And then to the other, what can I do to change? I mean, I'm here, but I have no specialty in control of the situation, but how could I help?
Right. Yeah, I think your life though, you've always shown people how to be a model citizen, a model father, a model family member. So I think that's definitely one of the biggest parts of your legacy, in my opinion.
Oh, that's very good. I accepted that when the watch riot broke out. When the watch riot broke out, my people in my neighborhood would let their teenagers go to these different fires and things that had started. Well, my son wanted to go with some of the neighbors. I told him, no, I can't let you go. He said, but my neighbor, or your friend, all my friends are going. I said, yes, but they may not come back. They go there, and I want you here.
Right.
I said, but I'll tell you what I'll do. I said, since you want to see it so bad, I'll have you to open up the garage, take the ladder, put on the top of the garage, go up on there, get you a good seat. You can look for all around areas where fires broke out. I said, I'll have your mama to fix the peanut butter, jelly sandwich, give you an orange if we have it. You stay up there and look at the fire and the disturbance that's on, but don't leave the house.
Right.
I said, I will not let you leave the house.
Right. Sounds like you were really hyper aware of, black man safety back in those times.
Well, I wanted to keep a son.
Right. That's fair.
And if he goes out, even if he's with a crowd or with the others, he might be included in one of those bullets.
Right.
He might get shot. I couldn't give him permission to go out, and so I just kept him there. Let him go up on the roof, and he would go up there, and of course, didn't have company, but he could see all the disturbance and things that were happening.
And that was your oldest son?
Yeah, oldest son. All I had at that time was only one.
Okay.
I had a boy and a girl at that time.
Okay. So my next question, Grandpa, is in America, do you feel safe as a black man, and why or why not?
I feel reasonably safe, but I would like to be able to be accepted all over.
Right.
Or if I could have a chance to go to other areas, I'd like to be accepted there as, a citizen.
Right.
So, I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. It's your perspective.
Yeah.
For sure.
One reason I may not have answered directly, see, in my family I have different colors of people. Some are light, some are dark. We all family.
Right.
So we have no control of being, color when we are being born.
Right.
Just accept us as a brother, sister. That may be the wrong answer, but to me, just be accepted as you're my brother, you're my sister, my cousin, or whatnot.
Definitely, I agree. I think that especially with me, I feel comfortable because I know, how to navigate through a lot of situations, but in certain situations, I don't really feel safe. I know that I'm not really granted some allowances that maybe someone who is another skin color or, into something like that would necessarily get. So I just am aware of it, but I don't move in fear. I just, I'm comfortable most of the time, but there are certain situations where, I do feel a little unsafe.
Well, I guess that's an individual feeling, but since my family, is all mixed, I just try not to let that be a hindrance. We're all family.
Right. All one family. Yeah.
All family.
What are you most proud of as a black man?
Being here, living 104 years.
Right.
I guess that'd be because out of all my family so far, I don't record any have lived any longer. Some have lived up in the 90s, but I don't remember any who has gone over 100 years old.
As a black man, I think I'm most proud of just my style, my individuality, my knack for music, and being part of a culture that's just so unique and resilient, and ups and downs. I don't think I would choose to be anything other than blacks.
What's one thing you want people to remember about Clifford Eugene Johnson Sr.?
Well, I want to remember that I try to be fair. I like to be fair in my dealings with one another, and I try to treat people as if they treat them the same way I wanted to be treated. I wouldn't want to abuse people because I don't want to be abused, and I want to be as fair to them as possible. Live each day, enjoy each day, because you never know when the last day is coming. But enjoy each day as it comes.
What is the secret to long life, in your opinion?
Well, it's hard to say because I don't know the secret. There are so many things happen. Being blessed to have family, being blessed for health and strength, being blessed to travel as most of the time as you choose, being blessed to have good friends and acquaintances, good neighbors, because many places, people that even live next door is not your neighbor. They won't speak to you. They won't do you any favors, or they won't ask any comments. They're just not neighborly.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed to have all of those so far. And as far as living, I have no idea. Some used to say, don't drink any strong drinks, don't smoke, don't do this. Well, I don't have the habit of it, but every once in a while, a little drink might spur me up.
Hey, to each his own. Do what you feel.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm still, but I'm so grateful, that many of these things haven't taken, effect to the point where it's affect my living or affect other people. I like the idea that my stepfather used to say that, do unto others as others do unto you, and so when it runs across your mind, sure you have thoughts about but then you say, do unto others as you'd have others do unto you. Would you have others others take advantage of you? Would you give them advice, or would you be kind to them, or even speak? So many people pass you or run into you and won't even speak. And just be pleasant as you can be. Sometimes.
I love it. I love it. So you've heard it from the GOAT, the
Oh,
greatest person on earth. So thank you, and we appreciate you, and we love you, Grandpa, so much.
Oh, yeah.
Food for thought. Blessed is a man who has nothing to say and then says nothing. Reading maketh a full man, conference a ready man, but writing an exact man. You want to feel rich, just count all these things that you have that money can't buy. Nothing is more open than by mistake than the mouth. It is better to be understood a little than to be misunderstood a lot. A man wrapped up in himself makes a very small bundle. A good leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. If happiness could be bought, we'd complain about the price.
Guess what? I'm 106 years old.
Woohoo!